In this video, you're going to learn the process of making beautiful metal shaders like I did in this fantasy knight character that I'm designing and modeling right now. This is a repeatable shader you can use and apply to any of your metallic objects. But before we begin, you should know the checklist of the 5 most important parts of a metal shader like this. 1. The reflectiveness. 2. The distortion of the reflection. 3. Some sort of drawn-in highlights. 4. Some sort of drawn-in dark areas. And 5. Scratches. So just be aware of those 5 things because that is what we're going to cover in this video. We're going to make it on this armor plate here, and that will show you the process for how I do it. You can then take the idea from there and apply it to your other models. From there, you'll be able to see just how big of a difference that it makes. Also, for those of you who have the Stylized Asset Suite Pro add-on, later in this video I'll show you guys the new metallic/glossy update, which has some cool extra features like a painterly effect and other adjustments. But anyways, let's get into this right away. Okay, so if you're new, please take a look at my complete beginner's tutorial in the shaders part, because if you have no clue how shaders work at all, you may struggle with what I'm doing next, so you can go watch that if you need it. To start out with, what we can do is take our model, so I'm just working on this armor piece here, and we can delete the principled BSDF. I'm then going to hit Shift A and you can type in color to get a color node. It's also called RGB if you're in a previous version, but yeah. I also want to add in a layer weight node, and if we plug the facing into the material output here, you can see what it does. It kind of gives us this darker in the center, brighter on the sides kind of look. This is really interesting because what we can do is we can add in a color ramp node after that. And what I'm going to do is flip the color ramp so that it's brighter in the center now. And I'm going to drag back the flag on the right, which is the black flag, so that it becomes crunched. And what we can do then is we can control click in the center a couple times to get a few flags, and you want to kind of oscillate it so you can have it go from white to white to black, and basically it just gives you this black white pattern, which is important for metals because in metal it's very crazy and kind of just all over the place. Now after that, what we can do is add a mix node, and we want to plug what we just made with the layer weight node into the FAC of this mix node that we're going to add so that we can use it as a mask. And if we plug the mix node into the result, you'll see nothing happens immediately. But if we add a hue saturation value node, you can put it going into the second slot, so the B is where the white areas are in that layer weight mask that we made. And you can drag the value up. So basically now, in any of those brighter areas in the mask that we made, we're going to have a higher value. So in those areas, you know, the color node that we have is just going to be brighter. And it kind of gives this effect we're starting to create here with reflection. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is distort the layer weight mask that we made. So I'm going to add in a geometry node, and we want to plug in the normal output into the normal slot in the layer weight node. You'll see this does nothing, and that's because by default it's kind of implicitly there. But what we're doing now is we're just kind of making it explicit so that we can actually distort it and stuff. So the way we're going to distort it is add in a mix node. We can switch it to color and just plug it in the center of the two. We can then add in a noise texture node, and I'm going to plug that into the B slot. And just like that, you can see we can distort the reflection quite a lot. I like to use overlay as the blend method, but you can test whichever ones you want, and you can see how that looks here. Of course, you can play around with the scale of the noise texture, and you can hit Ctrl T on the noise texture as well, and play around with the scale or location or whatever you want, and basically you have all of these choices. Now if you view the layer weight node once again, so we can do Shift Control click twice to view what it's doing, we can add in a map range after that, and this is totally optional. It's not really going to make a big difference at all, but what you can do is kind of tweak the layer weight mask a little bit more over here, just like I'm doing. And yeah, but you guys can skip this step if you want. Now one extra trick we can do is we can add in an image texture node. And if you have any sort of texture downloaded on your computer, I like to use this crayon one that I made. It's part of my Stylized Textures pack. But I'm going to add it in, and what we can do is actually take the layer weight mask and multiply it by the image texture. And so what that's going to do is basically add a bit more texture to the reflection itself, just like that. In order to make it dark on the edges of the reflection, what we can do is we can go to this color ramp node, and I'm going to hit Shift Ctrl D to duplicate it down twice. And the reason why we want to do this is we want to make the bottom color ramp a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to drag the black flag a little, and now I'm going to drag out a subtract node, and we're going to subtract the other color ramp that was smaller. So what this does is it gives us basically just something that is left over. Basically the outer edge of it, if that makes sense, because the bottom color ramp is bigger, the other one is smaller, so we get what's the in-between of the two. Alright, so now what we want to do is basically take that and have it so that it's dark on the edges of this reflection that we've made. Now the way we're going to do this is we can drag out another mix node after the main one we had, and we can just plug this subtract into the factor, And then of course in the B value, which is going to correspond to the white areas, we can decrease the value. So now basically for that mask we just made with the subtract node, in the white areas of that mask it's going to be darker. Now one other thing we can add is the bright edges of the model. The reason I do this is because naturally in like metallic surfaces, the edges are kind of bright. So you could see me here just doing a very simple setup using a layer weight node again, except I used Fresnel in the input this time, and just like that, using a node setup way simpler than anything else we did previously, you can get this done in no time. So this is what we have currently. Alright guys, so now we have something that is decent, but we are going to make a few more changes. Just going to do some slight things here, just mess around with the scale, maybe play around with the map range a little bit. Not big changes, but just wanted to do a few small things here. And now what I want to do is add in a gradient. This is optional, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but you can add in a gradient texture and play around with the rotation on it. Sometimes you might have to test the Z or Y axis. I kind of just test around them once until it works. But yeah, so you can see me here. I'm going to add a mix node to link it back up. And just like that, we can make it darker on the bottom, brighter on the top, very, very quickly. Also for this object I'm making here, I'm just going to link the material to all of the other armor plates under it, because that's what I did in the character I was making. So yeah. One thing you can also play around with is the blend value. So you can see here I played around with it a bit more and just made it a bit bigger, but it's optional and really depends on the object that you're making. So just do what looks best. Anyways, so at this point the main thing to do is to just draw in some sort of highlights as well as details like scratches. I'm showing you on screen right now the difference that this makes. So as you can see, I kind of draw in a highlight in the front as well as the edges of the model. And then I also added in some scratches. And using a node setup like this you see on your screen, it makes it all easily adjustable. To demonstrate to you how this works is very simple. If I just select one of these image textures that I made, go to texture paint mode, make sure we're drawing with white in the first slot and black in the second slot. You can see here what I can do is just very easily draw in. I like to use paint soft. And just like that, you can draw in a sort of highlight anywhere you want in a zigzag fashion on the model. I like to do it in the front, as you can see here. I did it in the front because generally the viewer is going to be seeing the character from a front view. And then in addition to that, in order to draw in darks, I had another image texture where I can draw like this. So you can see I added it to the sides over here. And also this entire detail thing here, it's not even real. It's just completely drawn with dark and light. So you can see it kind of looks like some sort of accessory going along the armor piece. Then of course we have the scratches here, which I made by drawing in dark first, and then drawing in some brightness afterwards, just like that. If you don't understand what this node setup does, you can check out my complete beginner's tutorial, by the way. But yeah, hope that made sense. One other cool thing you can do to add more detail is you can drag out a multiply node like this, and you can add in a noise texture as well. What this will allow you to do is add a lot more variation, and of course variation is subjective, but as you can see it's just a little thing that will kind of go a long way here. Lastly, I should mention that for my scenes, I like to switch the view under color management from AGX to standard. So, you know, I just think that looks better personally. It makes the colors pop a bit nicer. So that's the last change I would say is important to know. In my models personally, what I did was I added in a dynamic brushstrokes effect with the Stylized Metal add-on. So that kind of allowed me to add some more variation. But of course, there's many different ways that you can add this type of variety. Okay guys, so that's the foundation of how I create awesome metal shaders. The process is identical for other objects as well. The only difference is where I drew in the bright areas and the dark areas is different. So you can see on this chest piece here, I kind of put it at the top and on the sides. But other than that, the process is exactly the same. So at this point, I want to talk to you about the new metallic/glossy effect in the Stylized Metal Pro add-on. If you don't know what that is, check out this video or this video on my channel. There's a free version as well with tons of awesome features. But anyways, I'm now going to demonstrate to you this new metallic/glossy effect, which is similar to what we made earlier, but it has more painterly effects and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. Alright guys, so here I'm going to add in a monkey and just give it a new material. I'm going to subdivide it and we can just add in the metallic/glossy effect. So I'll just hit the add effect button and you'll see automatically it gives a pretty cool result. Now it's very blocky because we haven't shaded it smooth, so I'm going to right click and shade smooth. And after that, if we go into this effect, you can see we have so many features here that you can just play around with, such as the color, which you can see I'm messing around with here a little bit. You can adjust the brightness, you can adjust the color ramp flags as well, as you can see I'm doing here. So you can add as many points as you want to really get refined control over the gradient. Now we also have distortion settings down here, so you can slide the distort amount as well as the jitter amount, just like I've done here, and you can manipulate the scale, scale, just like that. Now I'm going to slide the distortion to 0, and something really cool is we have this painterly effect here, which you can enable as well, however much you want, and you can play around with all of these settings here, such as smooth and contrast, to really get it how you like it. You can change the seed, you can change the scale, and basically whatever you can think of. Now if we go below that, we also have the edge settings, which earlier in this video, when we were using nodes, I showed you guys how I like to add edges to my metal, so you can adjust the edges here, both the dark edge and the bright edge, just like this, and if you want to disable it, you can just set the value to 0. And lastly, at the bottom we have mask settings here, so if you want to put a mask there, or if you want to use like a stylized texture and use it as the mask to get even more variation, that is another thing that you can totally do. Now for me, when I'm making metal objects, I like to add in a dynamic brushstrokes effect as well afterwards, just to give it some more contrast. So if we play around with the value and decrease it in some areas and increase the value in other areas, we can play around with the dynamic brushstrokes effect, which I just personally like. I think it gives a little bit of a nice texture to the metal, so that's why I do it personally. And yeah, so as you can see, everything is just totally customizable on the fly, and you can combine it with any other effects you want. So yeah, it's just fun to use, and I hope those of you guys who are using the pro version of this add-on enjoy it, because I know it's going to be very useful for me. Alright guys, so now what I want to do is just another demonstration of me kind of just making a random object using this new metallic effect, just to show you the full capabilities of it. So you can see here, I just kind of added in a cube that I subdivided, and I'm just playing around making a really weird random shape. And the point of this is of course just to show you guys that there is a lot you can do with it, and on different types of surfaces, you're going to be able to have a cool looking result. So you can see here, I'm just playing around with the distortion and painterly settings, and here I just added in like a donut to kind of show you even more a different type of object so you can see the effect on it. Here I'm just sort of playing around with the color ramp, adding in some more flags, and as you can see, you have so much refined control over it. I'm excited to use this for a lot of my armor and my characters and stuff like that, for jewelry as well. I think it's going to be really cool when I start using this for that. One last thing is there is a distortion feature for the edge part of the metal as well, so you can use that if you want. You can see I'm doing it here, and basically it updates based on whatever you do for the painterly or distortion above. Now one thing you guys should be aware of is if you're using harder surfaced objects, like for example I added in a cube here and gave it the same material, keep in mind it's a very good idea, you don't have to do this, but it's a very good idea to bevel the edges on it. So you can see here, I'm kind of beveling the edges on the cube, which look really weird at first, but if we right click and we shade smooth, or shade auto smooth I should say, it will look a lot better and more realistic, so keep that in mind definitely. When it comes to harder surfaced objects, adding bevels and shading it auto smooth definitely does help a lot. And over here I kind of switched the color to gold because I wanted it to look like a gold bar, and that's just what I love about using this, is we can just customize everything. Alright guys, so that is it for this video. If you're someone who's interested in learning to make beautiful stylized art in Blender, then you can check out my masterclass in the top link in the description. Other than that, have an awesome day.